So at the time, because the news, this accusations that sort of permeated the industry, and then basically through media, social media, became quite global. Um, uh, let's say, quote unquote, fact, if you will. And since I knew that there was no truth to it whatsoever, I felt it my responsibility to stand up, not only for instance, but for my children, who at the time were 14 and 16, so they were in high school, and I thought it was diabolical that my children would have to go to school and have their friends or people in the school approach them with the infamous People magazine cover with a dark bruise on her face. And then it just kept it kept multiplying. It kept getting bigger. So my responsibility to not only to clear my name.
We should have done the same thing.
For many reasons, but I wanted to clear my children of this horrid thing that they were having to read about their father, which was true. And also, after many years of being in this industry, at the time, I'd probably been in the industry 30 plus years, 35 years. Never had had any problems, anything like that. And I'd met many of the people, and had the opportunity to talk to those people and to even give advice to these people. And I'm not. My goal is the truth. My goal is the truth, because it killed me that people that I had spoken with, that I had met with over the years, who maybe were in not such a great position and they needed advice, and I gave them the best advice I could. All I could think of was that those people would think that I was a fraud and that I had lied. And so I had to wait for an opportunity to address the charges, which were criminal charges. And they just true. So I felt the responsibility of clearing the record as the only way that I could get to the point where I could speak has really taken
This is
this
over
full
here.
6 years, and it's been 6 years of trying times. Very strange. One day you're Cinderella, so to speak, and then in 0.6 seconds you're Quasimodo. And I didn't deserve that, nor did my children, nor did the people who have believed in me for all these years. I didn't want anybody, any of those people to believe that I had done them wrong or lied to them or that I was a fraud. I pride myself on honesty. I pride myself on truth. Truth is the only thing I'm interested in. There are lies, you know, but lies build upon lies and build upon lies. So I'm obsessed with the truth. So today is the first opportunity that I've been able to speak about this case for the first time.
Mr. Depp, how do you feel about the intimate details of your life being aired in this process?
As a father, raising kids, you know, when they were very, very little, it was important to me, very important to me, to try to shield my children as much as possible from looking at their father or their mom, for that matter, as novelties. I didn't want my children to experience hordes of paparazzis. So I was always a very private person. So for me to come up here and stand before you, or sit before you all, and the truth is quite exposing, and it's unfortunate that it's not only exposing for myself, it's exposing for my family, it's exposing for Ms. Heard, it's exposing for, it never had to go. And so
Well, no, you can't use that, because then if you're embarrassed, then you
can't
did it.
say that I'm embarrassed because I know that I'm doing the right thing.
Oh, yeah, okay. Wow.
Now,
I
Mr.
said that,
Depp,
and
I'd like to
said the
turn
same.
to your
He said that some of the,
upbringing. We heard of it from your
he
sister
said it
Christy
must
last
be
week.
embarrassing. He
But
said, I
please
can't
tell
say
the
I'm
jury in your
embarrassed,
own
because,
words about your childhood upbringing.
wow.
I had a very interesting childhood, one that I thought was normal until a certain age. My mother, I was born in Kentucky, and we moved around a lot when I was a kid. So my mom had her finger on fire. She had to move, so we moved constantly. So you were always the new kid, and that wasn't ever particularly pleasant. Then we moved to Florida, 7 or 8. And again, moved several times. But my mother was quite unpredictable. She was very unpredictable. She was she had the ability to be as cruel as anyone can be. All of us, that is to say, my sister Christy and my brother Danny and my sister Debbie, and also my father. So, essentially, she could become quite violent, abuse, certainly, which could be in the form of an ashtray being flung at you, you know, in the head, or you get beat with a high heel shoe, or a telephone, whatever you can. So, in our house, there was no, we were never exposed to any safe or security. The only thing to do really is out the fire. You, I started to feel observed. I could see she was about to head into a situation where she was going to get somebody was going to get it.
This is working.
Really,
Step back and look. Let me.
Mr. Duff, you mentioned that your mother could be cruel. How could she be cruel?
Be cruel.
Various categories there's physical violence, of course, there's
See
physical
what I'm gonna
abuse,
do. Work this way. Then I see what I.
to which she was,
I'm gonna adjust.
that was a constant. That was just a constant, you know.
Let me.
We were all somewhat
see
shell-shocked,
something.
you know. If she just walked past us, you sort of shield yourself because you didn't know what was going to happen. Excuse me. And
Let me check
so there
with you.
was the physical abuse, which was a constant.
Where is it?
There
you go.
was
Paintings,
verbal abuse. There was quite a lot of name calling,
find something.
bullying. You know, making fun of whatever defect, you know, one might have. You know, my brother wore glasses, so of course he was four eyes, and his teeth were messed up in the front. So he was buck-toothed as well. And my sister Christy, which this is such a hideous psychological play. My father's parents were quite refined. My mother comes from eastern Kentucky, which is where you grow up in shacks and hollers, you know. And my mother despised my father, and my grandmother's name was, and every now and again you would hear her just scream across the house, "Come here, Violet, get in here, Violet." And Sister knew very well that was a deep psychological, emotional. You had to take it. I mean, you just had to take the pain. I was born with a very strange, it was a very rare thing in my eye, as the back of the lens is spherical, normally is spherical. This eye isn't normal. This eye, I was born with a more conical lens, so my brain never learned to see out of my left eye, and they noticed when I was about 3, 4, that I had a lazy eye, a wandering eye, and she would call me cockeye, one eye, anything she could get to demean, humiliate. I even had to wear an eye patch on my good eye to strengthen my bad eye, so that it would cease to wander. It was exercising the muscles of the eye. So the brain had never learned to see, so I still, my vision in my left eye is, I'm legally blind in my left eye. But, so the verbal abuse, the psychological abuse was almost worse than the beatings. The beatings were just physical pain. And physical pain, you learn to deal with. You learn to accept it. You learn to deal with it. But the psychological and emotional abuse, that's what kind of taught. My father was a very kind man. In fact, my father's still alive. He's a very kind man. He's a very quiet man. In fact, he's very shy. Not a confrontational person in any way. And when Betty Sue, my mother, would go off on a tangent toward my father, and of course in front of the kids it was no matter to them.
Just put that right there.
He amazingly remained very, very stoic, and never, as she was rationing him with horrible things, he stood there and just looked at her while she delivered the pain, and he swallowed it. He took it. There was never one moment, never a moment when my father
this is coming.
who lost control
glaze that
and attacked
and
my mother, or hit my mother, or even said a bad thing to my mother.
Just
What
cool
I,
a little
the things
bit,
that I
what
witnessed
that
were,
does.
there were a couple of times when it got too far, that I would see, I could see his eyes welling up. He was staring at her, saying nothing.
I just saw that.
And then the he would do is
Over here, I'm trying to see if I
he
can.
would punch a wall. I once saw him punch a wall, and it shattered his hand because it wasn't drywall. It was proper concrete and steel wire and rebar and things of that nature. And but still, never touched her, never argued with her. He remained a gentleman. And to me, as a 5-year-old boy,
Wow.
I thinking to myself, I
Wow.
kept wondering why does he take it? How does he take this? And why doesn't he leave her?
Wow. That's crazy.
But
So, if I push it,
he was able to maintain his calm, his composure. He was able to maintain his relationship with his children.
then over here, because over here is
It was a good.
with the
You mentioned
mirror.
that you saw your father.
The mirror's somewhere up
Did you witness that?
there.
count the lights that they have, but I know that I struck
them all. Just
2 or 3 times tops.
if I could basically figure
Once,
out. Well,
when
I
he
can do that.
broke his hand.
He's got that yellow. And you got the
Yeah, two,
those
2,
yellows,
3 times
those
at tops.
blues.
Was your father ever abusive to you or any of your siblings?
No, my father was not an abusive man. At the same time, my father was also, to some degree, at the mercy of Betty Sue.
Mercy of Betty Sue.
Because
Huh.
if he
Mercy of Betty
argued with
Sue.
what she
So,
wanted done, and that would just turn
yeah,
into
some women are like that. Man. I mean, I went through that shit.
barrage
Freaking
of
violent.
hatred towards him.
Some women
So
are
I can
violent.
remember my father coming home
And
from
guys
work
usually
and
don't
admitting
say
that
nothing about it.
I'd gotten a bad report card, or maybe I'd
They keep it to themselves.
gotten in trouble at school, or
It's fucking embarrassing.
something like that. And my father would come home from
I
work,
could
and the first thing she would say,
probably still press charges on
take
her
her out
if I
there.
wanted
He
to.
gets the belt, give him the belt.
I mean, chase somebody with a knife, that's attempted murder.
And he wanted to know what it was about, so he'd take me out to the garage.
No
And,
statute of limitation when you try to murder somebody.
I'll never forget this
I mean,
white, thick leather 1970s era,
that little,
thick
yeah.
leather white belt that he would take off, and then he would commence to
Little by little,
inflict the punishment
little by little.
on me.
Oh, my back.
But
Oh, shit. My
interestingly,
back
there was
was
one time when my father kept swearing to him that I did not do what my mom had said that I'd done. But we went through with the punishment anyway.
What's my back hurting?
And then,
Oh, maybe yeah.
not long after, he found out that I had been telling the truth, and that I hadn't done what Mama had said
maybe,
that I'd done.
well, I didn't sleep that night. That bed really messes me
And
up.
he
That
came
bed
to
really
me and
messes me up.
apologized to me
Alright,
for having gone through with the whip and the belt.
a little bit of soda.
And I have to say,
Don't be true.
my mom never did that.
I don't wanna be.
She knew what she knew.
I don't wanna be. I'm thinking of it. Then what is this? This one. In the background. How long is this thing gonna go on in Ukraine? I mean, is it gonna? When is this gonna stop? I could also let me see. We have. Oh, I know what I can do. I'll listen to Van Gogh's letters. Where is the letters? I mean, anything just to keep me. Billy Joe. Some guys live with the fear of touching you. Where's the... I could just put Charlie. What is this? This is a... It's everything while you paint or read a book, an audio book. And what is that? Oh, here we go, audiobook. There you go, there you go.
Contempt, as all modernists have for academicians, and we find him endorsing Jacques' words that they are mere illustrators. It is now that he feels that light, truth, and transcripts of nature
This soda so bad.
as he has done with Graves,
I don't drink
and
too
with
much
Mob and
soda, that's
Israel
good.
as well. He enters heart and soul into
Yeah.
the study of nature. No pains are too great,
I don't
no
know.
sacrifices
I wanna
too
make-
heavy, provided only that
Let me
he may
make this
become
a little
absorbed in
brighter.
nature and thoroughly at
I'm
ease
gonna
as her
grab some of
interpreter.
that,
Possessed as he was
got
of a
that
remarkable
lead
gift of observation,
get that
nature
alky.
fortunately did not take long to tell
And,
him all that she has
Let me
to
see
tell
if
the
I
truly
can get
instinctive
some of
artist.
this lightness over
For a
here.
man who could paint that still life, apples in a basket, dedicated to Pizarro, and the still life, a statuette, a rose, and books, belonging to Van Gogh's
I
family,
could.
not to speak of dozens of other marvels of observation, such as the chestnut in bloom, belonging
Get some
in which the
ideas.
central character of the tree is beautifully seized by the happiest
Those are going to be
invention,
shadows.
would necessarily be a rapid and courageous learner of all that nature can teach.
Let
I
me
would
put,
soon
you're
know
going to have
conscious
shadows
of how
along.
to reach that decisive Rubicon. The imperative
I'm gonna
crossing
bring shadows
is
over
one
here.
of two alternatives. Either the
Yeah.
continuation of the old
Tree.
life of nature, which at this stage becomes
Bring this tree a
slavery and
little
no
further
longer
down.
discipleship, or the mastering of nature, which is the first step that reveals the
Yeah,
mature
see.
artist of sound
Okay.
instincts.
Yeah.
Van Gogh writes, I do not wish to argue studying from nature, or struggling with reality out of existence.
And this
For
is
years, I myself worked in this way, almost fruitless, in any case, wretched results.
wretched.
I did not like to have avoided this error, however. In any case, I am quite convinced that it would have been
Then
sheer
over
foolery
here.
on my part to have continued to pursue these methods. I am not by any means so sure
shadow.
that all my trouble
tree
has
is
been
going
in
to
vain.
put shadows this way.
So far then,
And
Van Gogh's sole excuse, and it is an adequate one,
it's going to go
for
more
having
this
concerned
way.
himself wholly with such subordinate things as art forms and nature transcripts, is that he was a
Yeah.
learner.
Over here.
A time comes, however,
It's
when in the
kinda
case of a
darker
mature
over
artist,
here. I'm gonna
must take
Where's the
technical competency
paper
for
at?
granted. Engraving,
photograph.
as many of the Impressionist sculptors and painters grew to be, to continue to concentrate upon technical questions
Oh Lord.
and to regard them as
Pain in
ends
the
themselves,
ass. That's such a
merely
bad
reveal
day.
the fact that they never were artists at all. In this respect, I cannot help quoting fine words
Okay,
of Gauguin.
so this
Writing
is
to
all gonna
Charles
go
Maurice
this way. I
in
got
April
that.
1903,
I'm gonna break
he
this up
said,
a little bit.
Nous venons de subir en art une très grande période
break
d'égarement
some of these
causée par la physique, le chimie,
Você
la
por
mécanique et
auxili
l'étude de la
le
nature,
tatu
les
et la
artistes ayant perdu
méticia
toute leur sauvagerie, n'ayant plus d'instinct. On pourrait dire
appareil
d'imagination, se sont égarés dans tous les sentiers pour trouver des éléments productifs. N'avaient pas la force de rêver. The reader who is familiar with my aesthetic views will understand that I do not regard la physique, la chimie,
la
as
mécanique.
sufficient causes of this state of affairs. Nevertheless, Gauguin adds that the of this period had lost their instincts, and here, of course, I am with him. The fact, however, that a painter or a sculptor has not lost his instincts is not sufficient to reform the civilization or the culture in which he lives. A still greater and more powerful artist must set to work first, and he is the legislator.
There's a tree right
The
here.
most
So
a
this
painter
tree,
or a sculptor
I
of
gotta
sound
adjust
instinct
it
can
here.
do is to recognize the lack of the great legislator
Okay, so right here I got
and reveal by his work and by the things upon which he
Over
concentrates his mind
tree
where
is
the
a
fault
little,
lies.
has, I gotta get on with it.
I understand that Van Gogh and Gauguin took up this position, but I am answering Van Gogh passed through another stage before he reached this
This
final
is
white.
a lens nickel,
It suddenly
the
flashed across his mind
5590.
that he had something to bestow,
They don't
something
make
to
that brush
bequeath,
anymore.
and that an artist's life was not
The
all taken
5590,
robbing or
it's not
copying.
made anymore.
He
And
felt the
when they
richness
stopped
in
making
him bade him
them, I
to
went
spend
online and I
longer with these.
purchased,
He
I went
writes,
on eBay,
one begins by plaguing oneself to no purpose in
and I
order
think
to
I had
recruit
about maybe
nature,
$100 in my
and one
account.
concludes by working
And I
quietly from
purchased
one's own palate
a
alone,
dozen, I think,
and then
for
nature is the
80
result.
bucks.
And again,
And
I often worry that
people want it. They know they're
more at home from
they're not gonna make them. And this nickel came in the 5590. They try to make it again,
how glad I should be
and this is the one that they try to remake.
face the starry heavens, as also
And
a vast meadow studded
this is
with
the original.
sunlight.
It's made out of
How
brackish
can one
hair.
ever hope to succeed in
You know,
doing
this,
these things
they try to make
unless one
something with
resolves to stay at
synthetic
home
hair
and to work
to
from
resemble
imagination?
the
He
feeling
also
of the
begins to throw off the
5590, but it
technique of
doesn't feel
transcript
anything
inking.
like the 5590.
He recognizes that
And then the
Chiara's
handle was rubbery.
essential
I
study
had
of
to
values is
remove
part of
all
the
that
equipment
rubber
of the mere
off
slavish
and
transcriptants.
repaint it black
And he
because
writes,
I
it is
couldn't,
impossible to
you know,
attach the same importance both
it
to
would
values
stick to my
and to
hand,
colors.
and I need to have my
Theodore
brush,
Rousseau understood the
you
mixing
know.
of colors
So
better than
the
anyone.
this is the
At
lens
times, he
nickel.
blackened his pictures,
It's not the
and now they are
55. This is the
unrecognizable.
5590.
One cannot
This one
have
they
the
gave
whole
it the
and have
same
be
name,
clear at
lens
once.
nickel, but it's made by
One
Royal.
must choose one's way. At least this
But
is
they're
what
not
I
making
hope
them
to
no
do,
more. So I thought to
and my
myself, so what
way
am I
will
gonna
be the
do?
road to color.
I need this
And
brush.
again, tell
They're not
him,
making
God,
them
it is
anymore.
my most fervent
The
desire to know
environmental
how to
people.
deviations from reality,
So what am I gonna do?
inaccuracies,
Maybe I'll
and such
find a
transfigurations that
raccoon and
oh yes, if you
Central
like,
Park
they
and
are
chop the tail
level than real values.
or
These
bring
are the
it
thoughts
home.
of
I
his
mean, I
most
will bring it
prolific
home
period.
and
The
take
period
all the
during which
hairs
he
off
produced
and
perhaps all his most
make
striking
my own
pictures,
brush.
the last 3 years of his life.
Yeah. Well, I thought that, or
Such
maybe
pages
buy
of
some
beauty
here
as the
online.
Orchard in Provence, belonging to Madame Cohen, Goschalk, Bonger, a street in
This is
Arles,
the brush
in the
that
possession
Richard
of the
Smith
Municipal Museum
uses.
at Stettin,
I don't
a
use
street
it
in
because
Auvergne,
of him, because I was
belonging
using it,
to A.
well, Richard
von
Smith is painted for long.
Munich, hail from this period. Also the lawn, probably in the possession of the family. A finished masterpiece of beauty. The sunset, belonging to Frau Hilla Ferriers Kasserer. Excellent. And a number of other landscapes belonging to Frau Kroller, Frau Malfer, Frau
I
all
need
of great
some
splendor and
aluminum.
mastery.
This is, it's going to
The
be
fact that he
shadow
was never
here.
able to work
Along this
successfully
side of
from
the
imagination alone
trees, they're going to
proves
be lit
nothing
up.
against the art
So
of
I got to
working
make
from
like a
imagination.
highlight.
I have heard some artists argue as if their
I can,
individual
let me
incapacity
see.
to
I can
produce
do the
great works of
highlight
imagination
in yellow.
were a
Let me
sufficient proof
try
of the
something.
fallacy of the principle.
Let me use the
Such
Master.
argumentation is, of
yeah,
course,
so the
beneath the
5590, they don't make it
On
anymore.
such lines, any incompetence,
Oh, fuck.
ignorance,
Sick.
or incapacity
Oh, no.
could be glorified and
I don't
exalted.
know.
Van Gogh, however, is more honest. He says working from imagination is an enchanted land. Although he recognizes the desirability, the superiority of such methods, he feels that he isn't enough for them. He says, others may be more gifted for the painting of abstract studies, and you, Bernard, are certainly as is all Gauguin. He concludes by saying that when he is older, he too
Let me feel this more.
Elizabeth Solog, Bethlehem, Pennsylvania.
Because I'm going to bring it more this way, because I need more space between these two.
Section 3 of the Letters
So,
of a
I'll
Post-Impressionist.
steal some space from there.
This is a LibriVox
But then
recording.
if I do that,
All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information,
then-
or to volunteer,
alright,
please
I
visit
guess, alright, I'll steal some
LibriVox.org.
space there.
recording
steal
by
some
Elizabeth
space here.
Solog.
And
The
then I'm
Letters
going to
of a
have to
Post-Impressionist by
twist this
Vincent
tree a
van
little bit
Gogh.
more this way.
Translated by
Right?
Anthony
Yeah,
Mario
I'll do that.
Ludovici.
And then
Section
that's
3.
what we'll do.
Introductory Essay, Part 3. All his imagination could do, therefore, was to introduce something into his landscapes and studies that made them more than mere transcripts,
That's
that
that
constituted them
tree.
new gifts rather than
That's the highlight.
repetitions,
That
placed in the
tree
hands
is
of the
pretty
grateful public.
straight,
And
right?
this something which he
It
introduced
separates
was
on
the step to
top. It
higher
gets
things,
darker.
which I
This
believe
one
to be the
here
chief characteristic of his
also
final
goes
period,
higher.
the
I'm
period
gonna.
at the very threshold of which he
So let me
unfortunately
see.
met
So
with his tragic end.
if I stole some more space here,
But before I proceed,
that means
let
if
me
I stole
explain
space
why
here,
I use
that
the
means I
adjectives
can make it
beautiful,
wider here.
excellent, splendid,
Because
masterful
this tree
in
is
regard to these
okay,
pictures.
that one is fine.
I am not in the habit of lavishing epithets of this vague
Let me use
description indiscriminately
the
upon works of art.
Blue,
A vague adjective is a wonderful
that
thing to
green.
help lame arguments over styles. It is an indispensable helpmeet when
See,
one is
I'm
not
still
quite
moving
clear
things.
concerning any particular thing.
I'm still
But in
moving
regard to Van
things.
Gogh, this is not precisely my position.
Alright,
Not so much for
that's
my own
good.
sake, then, as for the sake
Because
of
now,
clarity in these questions,
okay, then
in
over
which
here,
difficulty
the
are so
other
often
tree,
smoothed over
I
with
have
empty
a
phrases.
space
It would seem desirable to
right
explain
there.
why I speak of beauty, mastery,
Okay.
excellence,
And in
regard to
between
these
here,
pictures
there's
of
the
what,
other
in
tree
my
that goes
opinion,
over here.
may be called Van
And that one
Gogh's
is in
penultimate
yellow.
period, and
It's
which
like
all critics, save myself, regard as
Add
belonging
a
to his
bit of
ultimate or
umber and
post-impressionist
yellow
period.
ochre
In the first place,
and
then,
a bit of
let me
cat
pronounce this fundamental principle, as far as I
to
personally
kind of
am concerned,
neutralize that.
that there is
And
no beauty, no mastery,
so I
and
do
no
that.
excellence,
Then that
which
tree,
cannot, in the end, be interpreted
I'll
in
add
the
it
terms
there.
of humanity.
Okay, so
There
I
is
brought
no such
everything more
thing
this
as
way.
beauty, per se, mastery,
Alright,
per
so
se,
if I did
and
that,
excellence, per se.
then that tree
All these qualities ultimately be
is,
traced to man and to man,
let's put it
and without man.
in gray
I maintain that such qualities would
for
cease
now.
to exist on earth.
Let's go
A beautiful
up to
poem
here
is one
for
that can
now.
be linked up rapidly by
Right. Then it has
earlier
dust that goes this way.
with
Let's
things
do
which are
that for now.
desirable in humanity, or in a time or part of humanity. A poem that praises
That
pity
means
and rhythmic
I'm
cadence, for
still gonna
instance,
have
will
to.
charm the Christian of the 20th century. For him, pity is a desirable attribute of the modern human creature, and rhythm is a
Alright, so
communicative,
then I'm
maybe
gonna
an
have to,
art
if I,
form.
because if I take
which
that
to
far
cast
back,
desirable
then that means
thought.
I'm gonna have to
On the other
put
hand,
more shrubs
it
over
would either
there.
revolt the pagan or leave him indifferent,
Oh god.
while he might regard
the
it
butt.
as a sacrilegious
Alright.
act to squander
Just
such
a
a
little
precious
bit.
art
I'll
form
bring it,
as
because
rhyming
that's what's
verses
gonna
upon
turn
so
it.
futile a subject.
Okay, it's coming this way.
All beauty, then, in the end,
Like
is
that.
human beauty. All ugliness is
I'll leave
human
some
ugliness.
sky holes.
No healthy people of the
Then
world
this
have
is
ever
turning
considered
this
youth,
way.
I do not mean
You're
infancy,
gonna have some highlight
in any manifestation
right
of nature
there.
as
I'll
ugly,
get that in later.
because youth is the sure promise of human life
Here.
and of a multiplication.
Open.
On the other hand, no healthy
Then,
people have ever considered
okay.
ulcers,
So now
gangrenous limbs,
I
or
got the
decay in
space
any
in
form
there.
as beautiful.
This
Because
tree is
ulceration,
coming.
gangrene, and decay,
Okay, that,
and the end of human life, and
and
the
this
return of
one
it.
here
It is true
goes
that the beautiful consumptive,
over
the
here.
love of consumptives, the captivating cripple,
And then the
among the living, and George Eliot,
and that goes.
not to speak of a
I'm gonna
host
put
of
this
minor
right there.
English
I can see
writers.
it right there.
But then, let us remember from what part of the world